Hello, in this video I'm going to talk about the central part of my room. I've already covered this part, so I'm going to start by briefly talking about that bookcase there, and then I'm going to talk about bookcase 7, then 2, 3, 4 and 5. In the following video I will talk about the bookcases around the edge of the room. Now what I would say is those 5 bookcases there are all roughly the same height. So I used a large sheet of MDF across the top so I could use all the space up to the ceiling. That will become clear when I start the next section. So without more ado, I shall start showing you what I can. I will not be showing you all my books. It is not feasible. I will show you a few shelves at random. My apologies, but there is not a lot of space, and to show you everything would take far too long. So I shall pause it now. Right. Up on top, between the top of the bookcase and the ceiling, I have a number of books. In front I have a large number of Simon R. Green paperbacks. He used to do a lot of signings in London, but hasn't done one for a few years. So I have a large number that aren't signed. I would quite like to get a lot signed. Whether he will ever do another signing at Forbidden Planet, I do not know. Behind the greens are a pile of Terry Pratchett's. And at the back, which I'm not going to be able to show you, I have some Stephen Baxter hardbacks, some Peter Hamiltons, some David Wingroves. I think to the side there I have a couple of Samantha Shannons. At the front here I have some Chris Beckett's. I think they are all my Chris Beckett's. What I would quite like to do is get the other Eden book, Daughter of Eden, in hardback. I do have 2 copies of the paperback, so I have effectively 2 sets, but what I'd like to have is 2 uniform sets, one hardback, one paperback. Behind that I did have some miscellaneous hardbacks and a pile of Philip K. Dick paperbacks. I will tell you the story about those and show you those at the end of this video, but first I'm going to go around the next 4 or 5 bookcases and show you what's on a few of the shelves in the front row. I shall pause it now to get in position to do so. Now, as you can see, it's a bit like a corridor. The trays on the right I believe I've previously talked about, and on top is the pile of Philip K. Dick paperbacks that I got down to show you. At the end there are a large number of boxes on the floor, and if I talk about them I will mention those in the last video. This is the top shelf of bookcase 7. Now, originally this top shelf was empty, so it's rather got filled with miscellaneous paperbacks, not in any particular sequence. I will briefly mention those 2. The Attar series, they're by Joe Haldeman and they are both signed. And I will carry on and show you some more shelves, but this is difficult because I don't have a lot of room here. So there I have some E.C. Tubbs, George Turner. I did read those, they were quite, or some of his books were quite impressive. And then a whole load of Harry Turtledove. Again, I've read some, but he's reasonable, but I didn't rate him highly. I don't know whether anyone is a fan of his. Carrying on down to the next shelf. This shelf is mainly A.E. Van Vogt. He's not someone that I tended to upgrade. I wouldn't turn down a bargain, but basically not someone that I upgraded. And then after Van Vogt came Jack Vance on that shelf. If I can, I will show you the next shelf, though that may be rather difficult. So down there I've got miscellaneous things. I've got some Frida Warringtons. I have got several Frida Warringtons elsewhere. And as you come along, there's a number of Ian Watson books. I'm sorry, this is difficult, and I'm not going to go down and get on the floor to do the bottom ones. So I will pause it again. In the bookcase on the right that I mentioned, beyond my trays of spares, it's mainly hardbacks and trade and B format paperbacks. And up on top, some miscellaneous hardbacks and B format paperbacks, plus quite a few Adrian Tchaikovskys, some Ken Lius, and other miscellany. As I say, the corridor goes round to the left, so I will pause again. Okay, so as I come round, you'll see the next bit of my room. As you can see, there are boxes on the floor, which I'll talk about in the next video. So there's not a lot of room for me to film. So I shall come round and show you what's in this bookcase. So this is bookcase 2, which is the C's and D's mainly. And sorry, it's very difficult to get any distance to give you a good perspective. I have virtually all the new writings in SF. Again, coming down. Just to remind you, I'm only showing you the front row. There is another row behind. So on this shelf, C.J. Cherryh and then John Christopher. Another miscellaneous ones and some Arthur C. Clarke. I'll show you the next shelf. Some Edmund Cooper, some Louise Cooper, sorry, it's difficult to get any distance. If I can, I'll briefly show you the next shelf. But this will not be a good view. So some Charles de Lint. And that is as much as I can show you easily in that book. In the next bookcase, which is E to G, again, I will do my best to show you. So I have some Greg Egan, some Phyllis Eisenstein, Harlan Ellison, P.N. Elrod, and other miscellaneous. There was a gap at the end here, so they're all out of sequence. They were just it was just filled in when I had the chance. Going down a shelf, Raymond Feist, large number, Cynthia Felice, again, I will try and show you another shelf or two if I can. A large number of Robert Fraser, Maggie Fury, Neil Gaiman, and this will be very awkward to see, but next shelf, a whole load of Terry Goodkind. Should I really keep those? Kathleen Angoonan. I will pause it again. The next bookcase is going to be very difficult to show you. because it's partly hidden by the Billy bookcase at the end. So I will briefly show you some of the books, but it is very, very limited. Because in front as well, I have a pile of really useful boxes. The bottom one has DVDs, some Star Trek DVDs, and then above that it's nearly all paperbacks. I may just show you what's in this one. I'm not going to move the pile, so this will give you a flavour. These are generally quite nice condition paperbacks, and I apologize for the light, it is going to be difficult. And in the bookcase at the end, because I've done a shelf extension, it's going to be miscellaneous ones, so hardbacks at the top and miscellaneous paperbacks on the front. Okay, miscellaneous paperbacks. That box is a box of Lemony Snickets, and then coming down I may be able to show you some of the books there. I'm not going to say any more about it, and then I don't know whether I can show you the shelf below, but as I say, I can't really get to those shelves anymore because the room is too crowded. So that covers those bookcases. I shall pause it again, and I'll now go and show you those Philip K. Dicks that I promised. Hello, this is the pile of Philip K. Dicks that I promised to show you. These I picked up about 5 years ago. I don't remember whether it's before or during COVID periods. They're all English, and they all came from one collector. That one is Maze of Death. Sorry, I'm not going to remove the bags. This collector had to move flats and had left all his books with his parents, and his parents persuaded him to clear some of them, or most of them. And they'd given quite a few to a charity shop, and I bumped into the mother in a charity shop one day. She was telling me about her son, and I asked if he was willing to part with them. And by the time I went, there were only 3 authors left. Most of the others had been cleared. And the 3 authors were Philip K. Dick, Michael Moorcock, and Terry Pratchett. Now, he wasn't prepared to part with his signed Terry Pratchetts, but nevertheless I was quite pleased with the Terry Pratchetts I got. The Philip K. Dicks, I got all of them, and the Michael Moorcocks, I think I got 1 or 2 upgrades, and I got some trade paperbacks which I didn't want, which I've since parted with. So I'm not going to talk too much about these because I'm not an expert on Philip K. Dick paperbacks, but these are generally in very nice condition. So for say 15 to 20 Philip K. Dicks, about 15 Terry Pratchetts, and about the same Michael Moorcock. I think it cost me 2 boxes of chocolates as a thank you to the mother and as to the person in the shop who sort of encouraged me to chat to the woman. So as you can see, quite a nice selection. I'll start another pile. We can build you. And whenever I had the chance, I tended to collect the American editions, but these were in nice condition, so I was very happy to have them. So I'm not going to talk much about them. I have no idea which of these books are considered valuable and which are just standard sort of PKD prices. And offhand, I don't remember whether they're firsts or reprints of English editions. But nevertheless, a nice collection. And I will show you one other book. This one. I've been trying to collect all the Paladin Philip K. Dick, and I think I now have them all. But this one is a rather tatty ex-library. So if anyone has a nice copy that they're not too fussed about keeping, it is one I am looking to upgrade. And that concludes that section of my book room. I am a bit annoyed because I've ended up having to record this about 3 or 4 times because I've had 1 or 2 technical problems, but hopefully this one will work. So I'm going to stop now. Thank you.